Hello and welcome to CRC, Clinical Research Center. We are going to start a series of lectures on good clinical practice, formerly known as E6R2, good clinical practice, integrated addendum to which E6R1, guidance for industry. This guideline is commonly known as GCP guidelines. Today's tutorial is on Introduction to GCP guidelines. These guidelines were developed within the expert working group of ICH, which is the International Council for Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Pharmaceuticals for Human Use. This council was formerly known as the International Conference on Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Registration of Pharmaceuticals for Human Use. Good Clinical Practice, GCP, is an international ethical and scientific quality standard for designing, conducting, recording, and reporting trials that involve the participation of human subjects. Compliance with this standard provides public assurance that the rights, safety, and well-being of trial subjects are protected, consistent with the principles that have their origin in the Declaration of Helsinki, and that the clinical trial data are credible. The objective of this ICH GCP guidance is to provide a unified standard for the European Union, Japan, and the United States to facilitate the mutual acceptance of clinical data by the regulatory authorities in these jurisdictions. The principles established in this guidance may also be applied to other clinical investigations that may have an impact on the safety and well-being of human subjects. This guidance should be read in conjunction with other ICH guidance relevant to the conduct of clinical trials, example E2A, Clinical Safety Data Management, E3, Clinical Study Reporting, E7, Geriatric Populations, E8, General Considerations for Clinical Trials, E9, Statistical Principles, and E11, Pediatric Populations. This guidance should be followed when generating clinical trial data that are intended to be submitted to regulatory authorities. The GCP guideline has 13 principles which has to be followed to conduct a clinical trial. Let's discuss these principles in detail now. For your better understanding, we have given a specific name to each principle. The first principle deals with ethical issues. Clinical trials should be conducted in accordance with the ethical principles that have their origin in the Declaration of Helsinki, and that are consistent with GCP and the applicable regulatory requirement. The next principle we call as risk versus benefit. Before a trial is initiated, foreseeable risks and inconveniences should be weighed against the anticipated benefit for the individual trial subject and society. A trial should be initiated and continued only if the anticipated benefits justify the risks. The third principle is about rights, safety, and well-being. The rights, safety, and well-being of the trial subjects are the most important considerations and should prevail over the interests of science and society. The next principle is about clinical information. The available non-clinical and clinical information on an investigational product should be adequate to support the proposed clinical trial. The fifth principle discusses the scientific protocol. Clinical trials should be scientifically sound and described in a clear, detailed protocol. A trial should be conducted in compliance with the protocol that has received prior Institutional Review Board, IRB, or Independent Ethics Committee, IEC, approval or favorable opinion. The seventh principle can be labeled as responsibility. The medical care given to, and medical decisions made on behalf of, subjects should always be the responsibility of a qualified physician or, when appropriate, of a qualified dentist. Qualified staff categorized the eighth principle of GCP guidelines. Each individual involved in conducting a trial should be qualified by education, training, and experience to perform his or her respective task. The next principle emphasizes the importance of informed consent. Freely given informed consent should be obtained from every subject before clinical trial participation. The 10th principle explains the clinical trial data. All clinical trial information should be recorded, handled, and stored in a way that allows its accurate reporting, interpretation, and verification. Confidentiality makes the 11th principle in the GCP guideline. The confidentiality of records that could identify subjects should be protected, respecting the privacy and confidentiality rules in accordance with the applicable regulatory requirement. The next principle is on investigational products. Investigational products should be manufactured, handled, and stored in accordance with applicable good manufacturing practice, GMP. They should be used in accordance with the approved protocol. The last principle of GCP guidelines is on quality assurance. Systems with procedures that assure the quality of every aspect of the trial should be implemented. Aspects of the trial that are essential to ensure human subject protection and reliability of trial results should be the focus of such systems. If you want to conduct a clinical trial involving human subjects, this GCP guideline should be followed. This concludes our today's lecture. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel for more informative lectures. If you have any questions, please contact us at crc.colloquium@gmail.com. Thank you.